We're going live.
Cool.
And our event is starting, or we're live. Welcome to Apollo Challenge Live, episode 17. Let's see, what camera do we want here? We want this camera. Episode 17. We are going to jump right into things here. Today is about ketone testing for our state of ketosis, and we're going to start off right away by each of us doing a ketone test. I will explain what's happening as we do it, but we got Kyle and Brett here with us, and they will be testing as well. So let's get after it, guys.
My first?
Yeah, go for it.
Awesome. Okay.
Do we have enough tester strips?
Yep, we do.
All right.
You help me out here with the camera angle. So the first thing I'm going to do is take the Precision Extra ketone tester that I own. I'm going to place a strip inside, and I'm going to ensure that the monitor is working. At that point, I'm going to make myself bleed, so bleed my own blood. I like to go on the ring finger on the side here, get nice pressure. This is not recommended. For those of you who did not see beforehand, I actually use an alcohol wipe. Got it?
Yeah.
All right, buddy. And I'll hold it upside down just to get a better run into the strip. You hear the beep. It's going to take 10 seconds to read. This is the morning, obviously, so I'm not expecting a real high number. And 0.4, pretty low.
0.4, let's see if we can see that on the screen here. Yes, you can. 0.4.
0.4. So my focus for the rest of the cast, aside from commentating, is going to be consuming my smart coffee. That is 2 tablespoons of liquid IQ, and by the end of the cast, we're going to see if that number goes up.
Right, right. So we're looking for numbers of 0.6 and above.
Right.
For a state of nutritional ketosis. All right.
0.6 and above?
Yeah.
All right.
Do you want to go next?
I'm swabbed.
Okay.
What camera are we on?
You're on yours.
Okay.
You're gonna
Gotcha.
do-
All right.
If you do a little higher, yeah. Yep.
Okay.
So this is what we're doing here is we're testing the same way that you would test for your
It's not going to be enough blood. It's not. I'll just get you. Okay.
All right. Hold on.
So Brett is apprehensive about this. He doesn't.
I'm not
enjoy this
apprehensive.
as much. So
Just do it.
get a camera. Just let it go for a second, and then it'll get some good. Man, you are not a good bleeder.
I got thick blood.
There we go.
There
There
we
we go.
go.
It's coming. It's coming. Keep
right
it going.
there.
Okay. Where's
Keep
your
it
strip?
going.
Where's your strip?
We got to put one in. Oh, right here.
Okay. Actually, you're
Let-
going
let-
to
let- let
use
Kyle.
Will's Abbott.
Wait, we don't want to get the blood everywhere? Is that the deal?
Okay.
Consistency here on the testing. So
All right. So we're gonna do yours with mine. This is gonna be the
Novamax.
Nova Max.
Nova Max.
Cool. So
Hold on. Make sure it boots up
yep,
properly.
so give me that finger there. And we'll get some more. Man, you really got to work on this bleeding.
May not be enough.
Not even close, man. All right.
Make me bleed.
Golly.
Do we waste the strip?
No,
don't-
it has not wasted yet. So,
Okay.
all right. So give me this right here.
So this is obviously, if you're listening to the audio version of this is probably going to be very confusing. What we're doing is testing ketone levels with a device that also tests your insulin level. So this is the similar tool that a diabetic would use to test their insulin levels every day. So I'm sure
Dude.
you've seen someone.
He's a terrible leader. I really.
Well, we have a blood.
Will,
blood
you're up.
fertilizer.
You're up.
Where's my machete? Let's just lop off his finger. So we're testing with the same system that a diabetic would use to test their insulin level. So I'm sure you've seen someone do this before. They just prick their finger and get a little bit of blood, and then we're going to test.
Can't believe that.
Actually, this meter does both insulin and ketones, blood ketones, and for our purposes, blood ketones tell us our state of nutritional ketosis. And so the guidelines are we're going for a reading of 0.6 or more blood ketones to millimolars of ketones to indicate that we are in a state of nutritional ketosis. So I just alcohol swabbed my finger Gonna get my little lancet set up here. And I'm going to that. Come on. That's not gonna be enough either.
God, you guys.
We got thick blood.
That, or we're both dehydrated.
I'm going to check and see if you guys are even alive.
Come on. So, you can tell we don't do this very often, just for this purpose. Yeah, you need a real good drop before you can get
Give me
a
your
test
finger.
tube. No. I got this. You know I know how to do this.
Cal gets in there deep. It's a stab wound.
There we go. That's what we wanted right there. We go. Proper. All right, so we got one more ketone test strip here. Gonna put it in our device. It's asking for blood. Gonna give it some blood. All right, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Low. Okay. So I'm not even beginning to enter ketosis.
Jeez.
I ate real late last night.
Wow.
I ate probably at almost 9 o'clock.
Okay. So why don't we move you to show that's going to show that blood test is going to show your reserves. Do you want to go into the breathalyzer at this moment, or are you going to go ahead and take a shot?
No, the breathalyzer is just going to be impossible for us to do on air.
Okay.
So I'll take a
Interesting.
shot of liquid IQ here. So Kyle's going to keep drinking his smart coffee. I'm going to
We're getting the pocket knife out from Brett.
yeah. I'm going to take, so actually, for over the course of the next half an hour of the show, we're going to see how much one shot, so that's going to be 2 tablespoons. So I think it goes this way. Take a shot of liquid IQ. This is our ultra premium C8, C10, MC10, MCT blend, available on Amazon. And I'm going to, so this is actually a handy trick if you want to figure out how much you need to put in your smart coffee. If you just use a shot glass, you get the perfect amount. So not everyone's going to be happy about taking this as a shot, but I've done it a couple times before, so I'm not worried about it. It actually tastes really good. It's real smooth. So here we go. Here's a shot of liquid IQ.
Cheers.
Cheers. Down the hatch.
It's tasty. So are we going to try, Brett, or are we giving up?
No, all right. Here we go. Let's do this. Bleed my old blood.
More strips.
I
up
get
there,
more
buddy?
strips here,
Good.
yeah.
My left hand's usually.
There's one more in there, and I'll go get
So,
I'll go get some more.
speaking on a serious level, you do have to find which finger is going to be the easiest to draw blood, and then at what angle to hit it. And one consideration is that you are breaking your finger, so I like to go on the lateral aspect of the finger, so when I'm picking stuff up later in the day that I don't
Here we go.
feel any kind of pressure. It's still pretty weak, bud.
Come
I'm
on.
going to try.
Come on.
So one error
Not bleeding.
Brett made on that was, and it's good. This is actually good for education. One error that he made is that he's not allowing the alcohol to dry, which is going to, affect the reading adversely. So
Sure.
you need to just quick wipe of the alcohol, let it dry for a moment, and then go ahead and apply the lancet. So
I'll try one more time, Aaron.
Give me I gotta go grab a few more strips. I'll be right back.
So, again, I want to just touch on for the listeners, you're going to have a few different options to test your ketone levels. You're going to have the option of the urine strips, which we don't have much confidence in, and we can get in that shortly. And then you're going to have these blood ketone tests that we're real familiar with and use often. And then there's another higher level test with a breathalyzer. And we own that. That's that takes a little bit more skill.
Sure.
And so you'll see these are common for anyone that's testing blood sugar levels on a daily basis for diabetes. And so this is something that we've used. It's really interesting. It's been a learning experience since I've applied it with users. Just the variance throughout the day. Really seen consistencies on time of days, time of the fast, and then there's correlations with the reading, and then also correlations with exercise. So ketone levels pre-exercise, ketone levels post-exercise, and so forth.
So let me just ask really quick, what can we do with this information once we know it? What's the best way to apply it to our challenge?
So the reason we care about this stuff is if you're really trying to hack your state of nutritional ketosis, if you're really trying to maximize what you're getting out of your intermittent fast, your low-carb ketogenic diet, the whole point of all this is to get into a state of nutritional ketosis, where your body's really efficient at burning fat for fuel for both your body and for your brain. So that's the goal, and the results from this will tell us where we are in that journey towards nutritional ketosis. So if we are doing a good enough job of limiting our carbohydrate intake, if we're doing a good enough job of extending our intermittent fasting window, and so this is a good kind of guideline and kind of like milepost to use to see if you're getting there on a daily basis. And if you're really good about staying below 25 grams of net carbs a day, then over time, that's not the first day you do that, you're not going to be in nutritional ketosis. It's going to take some time for your body to adapt. But over time, you will adapt to pretty much being in a low state of mild nutritional ketosis most of the time, and it'll get deepened when you are in that intermittent fasting period. And the real benefit for me, why I love doing it, is that when I have that intermittent fasting period in the morning, I just feel just mentally lit up. I have an incredibly productive start to my day. I am clear. I'm energized. I, not jittery, just super aware and ready to tackle everything in the morning.
Yeah, I like to call it locked in. So
yeah.
You have to stay locked in your task. And in that, so if we were to retest and do a podcast at noon and none of us were to eat and we were to continue through the fast, am I low? So
You're good.
Okay. And so anyways, you're going to see that number climb. And I think the first time that we tested Brett, which he was befuddled that I was about to make him bleed, right?
I did bleed.
You bled, right? So anyways, I think you were 2 or 3 weeks deep into your Apollo challenge, and it was maybe 1 in the afternoon, and just prior to lunch, or maybe it was even just a little earlier. And he was at 1.7, which is in that range that we're promoting of nutritional ketosis of 0.6 up to 2.5. We can climb up to the 3s. That gets a little hairy there too. So, it's one of those. It's a unique deal because everybody responds a little differently. So I've seen individuals spike really big numbers early in the challenge, and I've had some where it takes a lot longer to convert. And so these are just indicators, and it lets the individual learn a little bit about what their state is.
Sure. Do you recommend? So this is something you can obviously add to the challenge for anyone, first-time user, second-time.
Absolutely.
Obviously.
Yeah. By no means necessary, though. I will say that this is kind of next level. Like if you really want to get geeky about this and really want to dive deep, this is something you can use as kind of a feedback mechanism to make sure you're doing it right. But it's not necessary in order to complete the challenge.
Gotcha. It's kind of just that next step.
Yeah.
Really want to take this to the next level.
Right. And so, like Will indicated, you want to feel that clarity. You want to feel invigorated, and so ketone production is the propeller behind that. And so this is that measuring stick. So one can stay on a ketogenic diet for a certain period of time and potentially never hit those ketone levels to make them feel that high. And so the chances of them sustaining that diet over time are a lot less, right? So this is just one facet of finding that
Sure.
out. So
If you are going to test, is there an effect? Like, is there a minimum that you need to be doing it to actually have the information be useful to you?
I think that's a great question, because if that's why we're doing this.
Because you can't just test it once a week.
Well, that's why we're testing
Right.
right now, because we want to show how malleable the test is, because over time that's going to change, right?
Right.
How when we eat, it's going to change. So I might test real high, then eat a meal, and then shortly after test, and it's going to be real low,
Right.
So it's just important for us to understand that. So that's why we're ingesting the Liquid IQ
Yep.
and the Smart Coffee, just to show how that might change here in the next 20 to 30 minutes, which isn't a big time window, but it's a time window enough to show a difference. So it just it takes the person away from that is what I read, period, as opposed to that's what I read right then, right now.
Right.
And so that's associated with what I ate, what I did, time of day, etc. So.
Yeah, I think the most important thing is to be consistent about it. So if you're going to track how you're doing, take a test at the same time of day every day. So whether that's probably going to be at the height of your fast, so that's going to be right before lunch.
Mm-hmm.
So that's probably the best way to be kind of see how you're doing how you did the day before. Because testing right before you break your fast the following day is going to say, okay, how clean was I eating the day before? Did I get into a state of nutritional ketosis overnight and this morning? And then as you break the fast and as you eat, your Apollo Power Salad, then you're going to you're going to dip out of nutritional ketosis as your body starts to utilize the carbohydrates in the vegetables that you're consuming, and you get a little insulin spike, but that's part of the cycle. That's intended. So it's really a feedback mechanism how you did the day before. So doing it consistently every day at the same time is gonna be important. And then track it. Write it down or save it somewhere so you can see, okay, how did I do? And the blood is ketone has been the easiest to consistently test for us.
Blood.
With either the Precision Extra or the Novamax Plus readers that are commonly available. The test strips can be a little bit more harder to get your hands on.
Sure.
And can get pricey. This isn't cheap. This is a couple dollars a test. So it's not
for one, and to be clear,
it's one of
these strips is a couple dollars. Okay.
Yeah, one of the little the strips that go inside the meter, and that's where you put your blood. They're a couple dollars each, so it's not inexpensive to do this. That's why we wouldn't recommend it. You do it every day for a whole year, but maybe week 2 or week 3 probably would be a good time to say, hey, let's see how we're doing, and for that week, get a tester and test it every day and see how you're doing. And then you can really tweak and fine tune it and see how you feel too. I mean, it really doesn't. If it shows a big number on the screen, great. But if you are not feeling great because of it, then that's another problem. So it's really I find that it correlates very strongly to how mentally locked in I am at that time. So if I'm really able to get work done, my ketones are probably 1 or above.
Sure. Sure.
And that's my threshold, is kind of 1 or above is when I really notice a difference, when I'm getting into kind of that high performance state of ketosis.
What about on the workout side? Let's just say you test right after a workout. Is
that's
increase,
a good question.
Decrease?
So the blood test indicates our ketone reserves, okay, or BHB reserves. Well, anyways, so after you work out, you're using a lot of energy, yes? So your expectation is that you're going to
hope so.
Yeah, right. So is that you're going to actually deplete some of those reserves. So what I've seen is that ketone levels at the end of the workout are low. All right, they're still present, but they're low. All right, but then what you'll see is this counter effect where you climb up real fast. So
right after,
if I took someone on a 7-day test at the height of the fast, and I had them do their workouts on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, all right, and I got to Friday's test, I would expect that our height of fast numbers to be slightly higher on the days that they actually worked out, because of that
Right.
that overcompensation. So it's really fun to see. So
Sure.
and it, like we talked about, it's malleable, right? So you could take a test at 8 in the morning, and it could be vastly different by the time you get to noon. So
Sure.
But Kyle, when I was wait for a moment, did you explain the difference between kind of reserves and active in the different tests at all? Or?
No, I didn't want to get
Okay.
too technical on it, but
Yeah.
we can go ahead and jump in that.
Is
So-
that what yours was showing? Because
So-
you had mentioned that earlier, right?
So the difference, you've got the three tests are a urine test, which is the pee strips that you just
I've done those on
pee on.
Atkins before.
Yeah. Blood ketones and then your breath acetone. And so the urine test is basically
it's terrible.
yeah,
It's useless,
it's
right?
basically
It's-
useless.
'Cause you-
honestly.
I mean, you always have ketones in your body at some point, correct?
Like it's the fastest way to $10 on a sale, in my opinion. It's just they're about $10. You get 100 of them, and they're worth even less than that. So
Yeah.
you're
It's just
peeing,
not reliable.
You're peeing on a strip, and then two, so you have to identify that the colors match. Okay, which
Right.
I mean, if you've ever gone shopping for paint, right? It's not everybody's idea of a color is a little bit different, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Then you have to time it accordingly. So you got 15 seconds to allow it to change, and then if anything over that, it might affect it. All right, and then so just reading the test alone's one game, and then its reliability is a whole nother thing, because what you're measuring there is that that changes. The further along you get into a state of ketosis, the quicker that ketone, so there's 3 ketones, the quicker that one converts. And so what I've learned is people will show high levels of acetoacetate, which is what the urine strips test,
Right.
okay, early on, and then they'll get discouraged because in week 2 they're not showing high levels at all, but that's because their body's much more efficient at converting them into beta-hydroxybutyrate and then into acetone for energy. So anyways,
Right, and the urine is kind of a lag test, because that's the last place that your ketones are going to go before they exit your body,
Right.
obviously. So
Right.
it's not like a really an active test of how you're doing. It's
Makes
more.
sense.
I mean, it's a test of how you've been doing, but it's that window is really gray, and so it's just for our purposes. I think we all agree that it's useless. So
yeah, and I don't like holding my urine that close to me.
so then that
You haven't
leaves
taken any
us.
pregnancy, your own pregnancy test?
So that leaves us with the blood and then the breath acetone. And so the blood is as we said, the most easiest to test and the most reliable. And as Kyle mentioned, that's it's really a test of your ketone reserve. So that's the extra amount of beta-hydroxybutyrate that's actively circulating in your blood. And so that's as you are getting deeper into nutritional ketosis, your body will convert fats to ketones. They'll circulate in your body, and your body will use them as they need them. So your various systems, be it your brain or your organs or your muscles. So that level, the amount of BHB that's in surplus in your body is a good indicator of the fact that you were in ketosis, but it's not maybe necessarily a perfectly accurate measurement of how you are actively in ketosis, how you are currently burning ketones, because that's just kind of what's flowing around. The other method is the breath acetone, and so that is theoretically measuring your active state of ketosis. That's how you're actively oxidizing BHB metabolizing it in the Krebs cycle, and then acetone gets spun out, and so that's like a waste product of that process. And so it's kind of an indicator of how things are actively being processed. But in our testing, it's very difficult to get an accurate reading of how your breath acetone is doing. This is a piece of technology. This is a product from Ketonics. That's a little breathalyzer that you plug into your computer and run a piece of software on your computer, and you blow into this. And it's a pretty exhaustive process. You blow until your lungs are completely empty, because that's the last part is going to
Right.
be where it's the most dense is where the acetone is most dense, is at the bottom, very very end of your breath. And so you really kind of have to blow until you're almost ready to pass out. And then the device measures the acetone levels. But like I said, it's been very difficult for us to get really consistent readings with it, and it's not something that I could just recommend to someone to, I'll figure it out, do it on your own. It requires a computer to get the accurate readings and to be able to log it and to have it be reasonable. And it's an expensive device. I think it's a $180 device.
Oh, geez.
$200 with the attachments. So as far as getting started, the blood is definitely the easiest way to go.
And for those listening, your point of entry for the test will be $20 to $35 for the tester, and then of course the cost of the strips, which you can figure about $2.50 to $3.50 a strip, sometimes as low as $2, depending on the time of year.
Yeah, so, if you buy them in volume.
So.
Yeah, I mean, if you are someone who is squeamish with blood, acetone, the ketonics might be a good way to think worth trying, and see how your results are. If you do it, let us know. We love to hear other people's experiences with all of these tests. We've had, like I said, we've had great experience with the blood, and share results online. Post them on Instagram, tweet at us, post them on Facebook. Let's share how exciting it is to see a big number on there, and we'll start doing that as well now that we've kind of shown that this is one of the tools in our arsenal. We'll definitely post a little bit more about how we use it and how people are using it.
Yeah. So to just gain some perspective on this is some individuals' life. We have individuals that are diabetic or that are, have epileptic seizures, so they have to use these forms on a daily basis. And so this is just a way that we can use it for a little higher level control with our diet. So pretty cool. I'm going to go ahead and move on to the test and see if I've climbed on up from that 0.4. So
let's see, we're about 25 minutes.
Yeah,
it's gonna. We were hoping that we'd have a little bit longer time here for our bodies to metabolize
Will, while he's doing
ketones.
Sorry, Will, while he's doing that, let me ask you. So you get your readings. What's the first thing you should generally look at as far as increasing your ketone level? Like, all right, I have a low reading. What's the first thing I should, generally speaking, do to make it better?
So
you would look at.
Yeah, I would use it as a tool to start to say, okay, a point of reflection to say, how have I been doing? Because the best and most reliable way to get into nutritional ketosis is to restrict carbohydrate intake
over time.
So,
and
over
it
time.
Scales over time, right? So, like that's where you have to not be a prisoner of the moment, and you can't look at between days 3, 4, 5.
The bullet point was, because you mentioned it, so we have to give you relevance, is that the person with the lowest ketone level is fired. So I think a DNF.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. I feel like I usually don't have that problem, but not that I make myself bleed often and would know, but
maybe you're a little underhydrated. So
I guess
the one thing we didn't touch on here, and that's kind of like the last hack, it's okay. We got take MCT. That's the natural way for your body to start producing ketones. It's going to be metabolized in the liver directly to ketones. So that's probably that's the best way that we'd recommend to kind of hack your ketosis. The other way that you'll find out there, and if you're researching this, so we have to mention it to be to be thorough, right? Is there are exogenous ketone salts that have been developed that are BHB, beta-hydroxybutyrate molecule, bound to a salt. So whether it's potassium, calcium, sodium, potassium, calcium, I believe, are the most common ones. And so you've got these BHB salts, which when you ingest, so usually there's a drink. So this is actually a drink here. And they try and it tastes awful on its own, but some companies have kind of commercialized some better tasting versions with some artificial flavoring. But when you consume them, that immediately replenishes the available BHB that's in your blood. So you'll see a reading increase on this because that surplus BHB will spike in your blood level. It's not really well researched, so we don't know how that affects long term, or if it's actually, there are some concerns about it not being the exact same type of ketone that your body makes. The one that we produce is not the same one that your body makes, theoretically. So we just don't know enough about it to be able to really recommend it and say that it's the best way. This is kind of a take your own approach and do your own research and see what makes the most sense for you. But we don't endorse this as the way to go.
Yeah, no, they are also very expensive.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
You're talking close to $5 to $7 per drink.
Yeah,
and then
$7. I would say $7 is probably the average.
The advantage of them are that they're going to help someone gain that physical, or mental and cognitive state during their dieting. So that's probably the ploy where they can be helpful for someone, but that doesn't actually help them manufacture ketones better.
Right.
So
yeah.
what does
it's a crutch.
Yeah, it is. And so what it does do is it helps someone get to that level so they can identify. But we really, really recommend doing that through the fast and doing that through the MCT oil. So
diet,
I will
fasting,
also,
MCT.
just a disclaimer from my own personal experiences, is that upon first ingestion, I don't do anything real low levels. So the first time I had exogenous ketones was really it had an ill effect on my digestive tract. So that was not favorable, and I can go lower dosages with them, but I don't really enjoy I don't enjoy the way my belly feels afterwards. And then additionally, I don't see and I don't feel incredibly better. I've noticed hangover effects, and I'm just giving full disclosure here, because coming off of that high using the exogenous ketones, I didn't feel good, right? So it was much different than when I do it naturally through a fast and through MCT oil. So
right, and Kyle and I have we've tried exogenous ketones since the very early days, years ago, when they were not palatable at all, and some of there weren't as many commercial products available, and your body doesn't always handle it well, and you can have some gastric emptying.
It's a pretty good indicator if you're not feeling well.
Spend the morning on the
toilet.
Feeling
well after something that your body's not agreeing with it.
Right.
So I wouldn't go ahead and have an argument with yourself, right? So wouldn't recommend that.
Stick to really low carb diet, intermittent fast, MCT oil, and test if you feel so inclined. So this. I think we did this so that you could see how you could apply testing in your daily life, and how to do it, where it can be beneficial. Like I said, this is not a must for the Apollo Challenge, but if you want to figure out how to really tweak and get the most out of your diet, out of a ketogenic diet, and out of the Apollo Challenge, this is a great way to do it.
Yeah.
So
absolutely. And unfortunately, I didn't bleed much today, but I'll give it another shot soon.
Yeah. We'll cut you open later.
Bring a bigger knife.
Yep.
So, all right, that's all for the show. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. This is Will's moment that I'm stealing, and of course, like us on our YouTube channel, and please partake on the website. We enjoy questions. We'll get back to you as soon as we can, and then we can create that community so others will learn from your questions as well. So until next week, we will see you. In the meantime, hit that button on Amazon.com, as Liquid IQ is live and is available on Prime. We can get that to you in 2 days or less, depending on your location. So for Brett Bates, for Will Coffin, I'm Kyle Bracey signing out.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.